What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in the Khaliis Take. You know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell just so you can get the newest and the bonus content first. But hey, let's just go ahead and jump right in. Ty Lue says he wants everybody back next season. He wants another shot with the group that he has. He wants another shot at, going to war with his team at least one more time, with the opportunity of winning a championship. Everybody can see that this Clippers team is the most dangerous. Even Kyle Kuzma said if they're healthy, they're definitely one of the ones that can come out the West and, do some damage in the NBA and possibly a contender. And that's Kyle Kuzma for the Wizards, if you didn't know. But even still, even outside of him, everybody knows this team is going to be the most scariest team in the NBA next season, simply because they got so much depth defensively and offensively. It's not even like they're one-sided. They got both sides of the court on lock. I mean, if you think about it, Kawhi, PG, Norman Powell, Robert Covington. I'm not sure if Marcus Morris will be there next year, but I mean, if Ty Lue wants to run everybody back, they'll have Marcus Morris still. They got some good pieces. And then their bench with Terrence Mann and Luke Kennard, the way he evolved this year. Amir Coffey, the way he played out of nowhere, just start playing well. Still got young guy and Brandon Boston, some other pieces, Zubac and Hardenstein. I mean, they got some really good pieces, pieces that can really do damage, against any team in the playoffs next year, whoever they play going into next season. I can definitely see them possibly being a number one seed if they stayed healthy, because they have that type of talent. And, I definitely understand why Ty Lue wants to run it back with this team, because he see that this is more like, not only this team is built to win a championship with all the pieces they got now by adding Norman Powell and Robert Covington to what they already have, but it makes them more versatile on both ends of the floor. Only thing they really need is that point guard, whether it's a starting point guard or a backup point guard. It doesn't really matter. They need that point guard, though, because, like I said, it'll take more pressure off Reggie Jackson, because Reggie Jackson plays the point a lot of times, even though he's a shooting guard, but it takes more pressure off him. So when he sits down, he can rest more. And when he comes back in the game with the backup point guard, if they get one on the floor with Reggie Jackson can play off the ball, which means that's taking less energy from him, which allow him to score more. So, I mean, when you look at that, only thing they need to add really is that, to me. And even Marcus Morris said that. But I definitely understand why Ty Lue wants to run this back, not only because of the championship aspirations, and he knows this team is good enough and definitely strong enough to win one because of all the talent they have all the way around, but he knows this is probably the last season that they have a chance to win it. Because if you think about it, next year, after next season, I think after 2 years, Kawhi might be able to opt out of his contract. And then, Paul George, same thing, I think. So a lot can change, next off season rather than this one. Anything can happen this off season too, but definitely next one. That option for Kawhi and PG, they might, I'm not saying they're going to walk or anything like that, but having the option to, I believe one of them, if not both of them, had that option in their contract to do that after 2 years of, service and everything, because they didn't, they didn't take, well, especially Kawhi, he didn't take the Supermax deal like a lot of people thought he was. So by him not taking the Supermax and only taking the 4-year 176 after his second or third year, he can opt out, I believe. So, next year is really a telltale situation, because then Reggie Jackson, his contract will be up, after the 2 years. And then, you got to start looking at other guys' contracts on there, Nicholas Batum, players like that. So it's after pretty much this next season coming up, it's mandatory that they at least go to a finals. It's mandatory because, this team was put together or assembled together to win a championship, not to really show everybody they got potential and have all the names on the roster and don't accomplish anything, because that's exactly the way the Clippers were years ago. They had all the names on the roster. They had superstars on the roster when they had Blake Griffin and Chris Paul and people like that. And they had a bunch of good role players and JJ Redick and Matt Barnes, and they had DeAndre Jordan, they had Jamal Crawford, they had all these pieces, but they could never accomplish anything, and that's, you don't want to see this Clippers team go out like that, because this Clippers team is way more talented than even that one was, because Kawhi Leonard's a better player than everybody on this Clippers team and that Clippers team and every Clippers team before that. So, and you add Paul George with all these pieces that they have right now, I mean, they're a dangerous squad. So, I mean, not only Ty Lue wants to run it back because he has confidence in this team, and if they could stay healthy enough to do so, he wants to run it back because he noticed the last opportunity for him and the team to win a championship together. Because it's really, really, I'm not saying they have to win it. I'm just saying that I feel like they have to at least make it to a finals. I mean, the Clippers cannot go next year and not at least make it to a finals. They have to, because it's like, the first year they imploded in the bubble, which was, I don't really count that too much because, a lot of players didn't want to be there. And, it was just really just weird looking basketball, like no fans in the stadium, just a bunch of TVs with some fake fans cheering. It just didn't seem real to me. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way a lot of the players felt too. It just didn't seem like real basketball. And I'm pretty sure other people felt the same who watched, who watch NBA, thought it didn't feel the same either. But it just, I don't know, just the bubble just wasn't right to me. Hopefully they don't ever have to go back to that again, because I don't think nobody really thrives in that, because there's no freedom, no anything, and it's just, I don't know, it's just definitely a different type situation for them. But even still, the year after that, Kawhi gets hurt in the playoffs. And I definitely believe they would have made the championship. They definitely would have made the finals if Kawhi was healthy. Ain't no doubt, because they would have beat the Phoenix Suns. But and then this year, Kawhi's been out with the ACL, and then Paul George goes out for like 40-something games, 30-something games. Or however, he was out. I think he went out in like December, but he missed a lot of games himself, this year, and, injury. And then the COVID thing happened in the play-in tournament, which was very crazy. But like I said, I mean, they just have the team to do it. And when you look at the young guys, like the Terrence Mann, the Luke Kennards, even those guys, like they play like seasoned veterans at times because they've had so much experience, because their superstars have been out. They're so well-rounded as a team. Everybody has experience. Everybody has been out there. Everybody has put their hand in, and everybody has really, joined together on this team. And it's like the way this team is built and, everything, you definitely want to see them complete the mission, because that's what it's all about, completing the mission, and I just hope that, everybody stays healthy next year, where they at least have an opportunity to get to a finals, because the only thing that's holding the Clippers back is health. And that's the only thing that's ever been holding them back. I mean, even when they lost in the bubble, and all that stuff, they didn't have, Serge Ibaka. You see what I'm saying? Or they didn't have him at that time anyway. But I'm just saying, like, Paul George was coming off of shoulder surgery or something like that season. So it's like, I don't know, it's like they're just never really healthy. And when you look at a team that has this much talent, you got to find a way to stay healthy. You got to, because that's the only way you're going to win it. That's the only way you're going to win it. And, if they don't win a championship, it's going to be, a big bust for them, because they had all the players they needed. They had the roster. They got the coach. They got the superstar and Kawhi. The operation just has to go smooth from here on out. And the only way it's going to do that is if they transition into next season and, make that run. And I know Ty Lue is thinking that. Ty Lue definitely wants that, and he believes in this team, but he knows that window after next season is probably it. I mean, because even if you think about it, like I said, between Kawhi and PG, one of them can opt out possibly after next season, I believe. So if that's the case, then, I mean, you got to try to win it next year, because I'm not saying that Kawhi or PG will leave the Clippers or anything like that. But, if it doesn't work next year, I mean, how do you know the Clippers wouldn't possibly look into a trade for Paul George or something like that? I mean, it's very possible. I mean, anything is possible in the NBA. I mean, especially when it comes to trading and things like that, because that's what these teams do. They trade away valuable assets, and the NBA is all about drama and trades and things like that. So that's why you see big blockbuster trades a lot more in the NBA probably than any other sport that you could think of. But I mean, it's next year's the year, and I'm gonna say that, and I'm gonna put exclamation point behind that with a couple asterisks beside it. Like next year's got to be the year for the Clippers. I mean, it just has to be. I mean, at this point, they gotta at least make the NBA Finals. I mean, that team is too good, too well-rounded. Head coach is too good. I mean, look what Ty Lue did this year with nobody, basically. No Kawhi, no PG. You know, they still was potentially a playoff team until they fell the last few games or the last week or so, couple weeks for the season. Then they fell into, you know, they pretty much was at that 8th seed in the play-in tournament team, but they had an opportunity to actually grab the 6th seed, you know, from Denver and, you know, be an actual playoff team. They actually had the opportunity about maybe 2 or 3 weeks before the season was out. So, I mean, Ty Lue did a wonderful job with this team and what he had and what he had to work with. And, you know, you got to give him his flowers for that because that was just overly impressive. You see what I'm saying? So, they definitely got the team. They definitely got the chemistry amongst each other because they play with each other. They got experience. They've been through hard times. You know, last year with the Dallas Mavericks situation where they're down, 0-2 in that series. Then they're down 3-2 in that series. And they had to fight their way back and climb their way out that series when Kawhi Leonard just, you know, went crazy on everybody. You know what I'm saying? That just, you know, that's just the way it went with that. But they definitely got the team to do it, and everybody can see it and everybody knows it. And I know a lot of analysts probably don't want to see it happen because everybody's all for the Lakers, and that's definitely understandable because the Lakers have been a winning organization forever, and they've always been the staple of LA because they never really had to worry about the Clippers because the Clippers were never really a good team or a contender enough to really threaten them, or at least that's the way Laker Nation feels anyway. So when you look at that, this team has not only threatened the Lakers, but they've also beaten the Lakers 5 straight times, I believe. 4 straight times. I mean, they've dominated. Since Kawhi Leonard has been there, they've dominated the Lakers these last 3-4 years. I mean, they really have. I mean, I'm honestly here to tell you, if they play the Lakers in a 7-game series with LeBron and AD, I still think the Clippers can come out and beat them because it's just something about, I don't know, the Clippers just really kind of have the Lakers number to me. Even though it's always been a rivalry or somewhat of a rivalry throughout the years, it's even more of a rivalry now because the Clippers have won 90% of the matchups in the last couple years. I mean, the Christmas game, opening day game, when Kawhi first got to the Clippers, opening day they win the big Christmas game. I think the Lakers took the game at the end of that season, and then you got this season where the Clippers beat them 4 straight times without Kawhi and PG. I mean, really, it's not even a matchup. So, I mean, the Clippers are just strong, and like I said, when you look at other teams in the West, you know, they just don't stack up against the Clippers really well. And when I look at Memphis, they can beat them. When I look at Minnesota, they definitely could beat them if they have Kawhi Leonard. They could beat anybody in the West. They got Kawhi Leonard. The only team in the West I really feel like that would give the Clippers somewhat of a little bit of trouble if they're completely healthy themselves might be the Warriors. Even though I still think the Clippers can beat the Warriors, I think it'll take about 7 games to beat them. I think they could beat everybody else in 6 games in the Western Conference. I believe they really can. But the Golden State Warriors, they've won championships. They got 2 of the greatest shooters of all time. And Draymond Green is still a hawk on defense. You know what I'm saying? He's still out there, you know, being aggressive on defense and things like that. Still making great passes, you know, reading defenses and, you know, all the stuff that he does. So it's like, you know, that to me, that'd be the only team that might give him a little bit of challenge, especially if Klay Thompson is, you know, he looks like he's almost back to himself, how he was. So, I mean, and then with Jordan Poole, the way he's evolving now you got to throw the Warriors in there as the team to one of the teams to beat. So it's like that team will give the Clippers a run, but I still think the Clippers will pull that out as well. And, I think it would be, you know, a tough matchup, but I think ultimately, you know, the Claw would have the last word in that situation. But like I said, next year is it. I don't think any year beyond that, because I think after next year, if they do run it back with this same group, they should not only be favored, but they should actually win it. You know, bare minimum, like I said, at least make it to a finals, but I definitely think they should win it. I like their chances. I like their team. I like what they have. And I like them over everybody else unless somebody creates a big three or something like that, which that's very, very possible to happen. So we don't want to speak too soon, but I still like the Clippers in pretty much any matchup based upon the way the teams are constructed right now at this moment. And I definitely know Ty Lue does as well. So, he's in Ty Lue's words, he's basically just saying, go Clippers, go Clippers. Let's go out there. Let's go and win a championship because this is our time. This is our opportunity to do it. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be around as a coach. Neither are the players, So, Steve Ballmer and them, they got a lot riding on this, especially this next season, going into the Intuit Dome and the arena and everything like that, their new stadium and everything. So, a lot of fireworks, a lot of things are to come, but, you got to win that championship because that's the only thing that's going to make everything complete and everything well-rounded. But hey, that's my take on everything. Leave any comments in the comment section as always. And hey, Khaliis out.